Hey everybody, in the last unit we covered special right triangles, 45, 45, 90 right triangles and 30, 60, 90 right triangles, in which we established the relationship between the sides and the angles of those right triangles. And they're very particular because, again, it's 45, 45, 90 right triangles or 30, 60, 90 right triangles. In this next unit we're going to cover more general rules that apply to all right triangles. And there's three tools that you need to be successful to navigate this unit. The first is understanding of SOHCAHTOA, and we'll cover that in a little bit, but no, that's the first one, SOHCAHTOA. It's fun to use, it's even fun to say. The next is this equation right here, which says that the function of the angle equals side divided by other side. And we'll cover it, believe me, trust me, it is not difficult as long as you focus when we're doing this in class, ask questions when you have to. And the third is you have to have access to a scientific calculator. Your fancy phones, your computers all have a scientific calculator, but you need a calculator that you can use the trigonometric functions, sine, cosine, and tangent. If you get those three things, an understanding of SOHCAHTOA, understanding and the usage of function of an angle equals side divided by other side, and how to use, to have and how to use a scientific calculator, you'll be all set. Boom.
I want to go over the first of the three tools that will be really helpful in working with trig functions to figure out angles or sides in a right triangle that's not a special right triangle. And that first tool is called SOHCAHTOA. S-O-H, think of it in three parts, S-O-H, C-A-H, and T-O-A. S-O-H, it shows the relationship between the opposite side and the hypotenuse, and we'll get to exactly what that means in a little bit. And there's a function, a trig function called sine. It's spelled S-I-N-E, but it's abbreviated S-I-N. It's not sin because there is no sin in math, but it's pronounced sine, even though it's spelled S-I-N. So the sine function equals the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. That's really all the sine function is. It's a ratio of two sides. The next is CAH, which is cosine. Cosine is the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. And again, we'll go over that when we do an example. The tangent, another trig function, we're only going to do three in this unit. The tangent is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. Now, the next tool that I referenced at the beginning of the video was this equation. The function of the angle equals side divided by other side. And the third tool was to use a scientific calculator, and we'll get to that in a minute. Now, let's look at the first example. It says, given the following triangle, determine the value of x rounded to the nearest tenth if necessary. And you're given a right angle, you're given a 37-degree angle, and we could figure out this other angle if we wanted to, but for now we don't need to. We're given that the hypotenuse, which is always opposite the right angle, is 22 meters. Now, we talked about sine, cosine, and tangent. When you're dealing with trig functions, you don't use the 90-degree angle. You use one of the other two angles. In this case, the angle that we're going to use is the 37-degree angle. If we're using the 37-degree angle, then x is the opposite side, and the 22 meters is the hypotenuse. So the function that uses the opposite side and the hypotenuse is the first one. It's sine. That's the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. And what you do is you set up this equation. The function of the angle equals side divided by other side. So the function is the sine function. The angle is 37 degrees. The first side, the side in the numerator, as is referenced in the relationship sine equals opposite divided by hypotenuse, the numerator side is going to be the opposite side, which is x. That's what we're trying to find. The other side in the denominator, if you look back at the relationship for sine, is the hypotenuse. And we know the hypotenuse is 22 meters. So we're going to set it up like this. The function of the angle, sine of 37, equals side divided by other side, x divided by 22 meters. the sine of 37 degrees is something that you can figure out using a scientific calculator.
All right, if I want to find the sine of 37 degrees, I simply go to the calculator, I hit the sine button, I hit 37, close my parentheses, and hit enter. And it tells us that the sine of 37 is approximately 0.6018.
Now that we've used the calculator to determine the approximate value of the sine of 37 degrees, which is 0.6018, we substitute that in where it says sine of 37 degrees on the left-hand side of the equation. Now we have 0.6018 equals x divided by 22 meters. And in order to solve for x, as we would with any Algebra 1 problem that's set up like this, we would multiply both sides by 22 meters, the left and the right. On the right side, the 22 meters in the numerator divided by the 22 meters in the denominator equals 1. 1 times x is x. On the left side, 22 meters times 0.6018 is approximately 13.2 meters because the direction said to round to the nearest tenth. So the length of this side right here, x, is 13.2 meters. It's that simple.